I think that like the hardest thing to launch the beta, as entrepreneurs, we focus on the no's. Why is that? Like we focus and we obsess. Like when people join the membership or they join and then they want a refund, it's like, why? Is there something wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? Like in the beginning, we focus on the no's. And then when we get into it, there's this sense of confidence that comes over us. And we're just like we don't even think, like we're able to make really definitive decisions. But in the beginning, we need a recipe. So I have put together, the focus right now is the offer, your core offer, nothing else, nothing above, nothing below, the core offer. The focus is, if you've not already launched, the beta launch. Hey there, it's Rhonda Melogy. If you like what you're seeing, make sure to hit the subscribe button below so you know when I publish a new video, probably any minute now. The focus is, if you have launched, which we've seen some people who have launched, is that you should be in a debrief, depending on where you are, a debrief, asking yourself the questions to help then prepare you for the next. I really feel like the whole launch process, I call it the pressure cooker. We've talked about it, but I have visually laid it out for you. I'm a visual person, and I think sometimes when I'm just like talking, I used to do the whiteboard and I have done some slides, but this session, I'm actually going to share with you a Trello board. And this was a session that I recently did, and it was a product launch masterclass. And it really was how I laid out what I called the pressure cooker method. All right. And so I think this kind of puts a bow on top of everything that we've been talking about, really focusing on core offer, focusing on content production, focusing on debriefing, focusing on hook, story, offer, right? And so I thought that I would take today, share my Trello board with you. We'll go over it. I know a lot of you guys are talking about doing challenges now and ending it with the webinar. So there's Facebook Lives, like going live. It's a challenge, it's a webinar, it's a video series, wait list, live cast. Any type of strategy that you can think of to really create the pressure. Like everybody should have a wait list, right? Why do we need a wait list? Because I mean, that's just turning in your sleep, right? And if you're doing something and you have a call to action and you need to get them on a wait list, it's boom, it's the wait list. Video series is, we've talked about this before, a video series. This is more of a passive. So it would be like, I did one, Profitable Clarity, and it was a 4-part video series. And each video is like origin story, your 3 things, and then we have the offer at the end. You're just breaking out the webinar and you're doing it into little pieces, okay? Obviously, everybody knows webinar, challenge. One of the things I do want to say, as you are going through a launch, you have a strategy, you have a plan. Be flexible, because things are going to mess up, things are going to screw up. Sales may not be coming in. You may be on the back end panicking because you're not getting the sales. Be flexible. Take a look at the list of launch strategies. And if you need to, go, hey, I'm just going to go live. I'm just going to go live. I'm going to show my personality. I'm going to let them know who I am. And I'm just going to ask them, is it that people have registered? You know these people, you know the program is right. Reach out to them. Get on a one-on-one call. That beta launch is scrappy. It's messy. Things are going to screw up. Tech is going to go down. I've got a solution for you with that. But just know, when you have your POA, your plan of action, that it's here, right? But it's really probably not until like your 2nd, 3rd, 4th launch that you actually have this system down where it's starting to run and we're really starting to grow. Realistically, all right? That's not to say that you can't have a win, but I want you just to, in your mind, to go, well, it's not in my plan, I'm not going to do it. If you see, I mean, at this point, I mean, it's like guerrilla marketing. We're getting in here and like, what happened? Well, I just put everything into this webinar and we didn't get any sales. I need to go live, right? And not in a panicky way, but just like, hey, we've had some questions that come in. I wanted to pop in live and let you guys know, blah, 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 right? Don't leave money on the table. You can defer from the list, right? So we're choosing a launch strategy, all right? And then these are really, you know, launching without a list. We've talked about that. It's reaching out one-on-one. Strategic networking, it's knowing people where they are in their business, being in smaller Facebook communities and not being like stalking, but doing it in an authentic, I hate that word, authentic. I mean, if you're not, I mean, we're all authentic. Why do they use these words? But doing it in a genuine way, I should say, right? And establishing not like, hey, blah, 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 and then offering the thing, right? When I did my launch, it was only like a $9,000 launch. It was reaching out one-on-one and having a form, getting on a call, closing the call, and then preparing for the product, okay? So we have talked about list building in here. Right now, when we're thinking about launching, it is what? Setting the deadline for the launch, for the beta launch, really having that module 1 completed, and really having an outline of the content that you're going to produce. The whole idea behind a beta launch is that your customer, your dream customer, is going to help you build out that product, and that we're not building in a vacuum. That's why I call it pressure cooker, because that's exactly what it is. Because you are not only producing content on a regular basis, but you're also producing content, and you're being, you know, in this community, you're supporting, you're over delivering in this community. Oh, and you might have a Facebook community as well. So it's a lot of work, but I mean, if it was easy, anybody could do it, right? So when we look at list building, things like, and I pick one, get the system down for one. Let that start humming. And when I mean system, and the reason we pick one, we want to publish the content. And this was really important early on when we were just getting started here, is to understand that category king. How are they already talking to the red ocean? Well, if they're talking with a podcast, you don't want to do a blog. But if the category king is doing YouTube, or if they're doing podcasts, or if they're doing Facebook Lives, then take a look and consider producing that type of content, is what I'm saying. Like, we're not reinventing the wheel, we're not rocking the boat, okay? So we've got the Facebook Live and group, guest blogger, guest podcast, Facebook community. And here's another thing I will say for list building, and this is a strategy that I use. I reached out and knew there was someone who was doing a course. And I reached out and I said, hey, I would love to offer you as a bonus for your community a workshop, how to get the most out of XYZ course. And it's a 4-step process. It's a 4-step process, about a 30-minute live. I had Trello board, amazing. Had a Trello board that went with it, but I offered her that. And now I am in front of all of these new people who are investing in their business. And now they see me. And because I'm in my element and I know this thing like the back of my hand, they're like, wait a minute, who is this? Let me go over and see her. I don't know if you've thought about that, but that strategy works. Like going over to, and they don't have to be the category kings, go to the C influencers and say, hey, you know, it's like you're pitching for podcasts, right? Or pitching for blog posts, if that's what you do. I was just pitching a course creator to be live in their Facebook community and show my thing, show my area of expertise. All right. So hopefully that just like, boom, gave you some light bulb moments and some excitement there. It gave me a little bit of a bump. So those people who are on the wait list, they're almost like a VIP list. It's almost, I will launch to them the night before versus like launching to like the list for the thing. I don't launch to the entire list. Like I give them opportunities like in the weeklies that they can get on the wait list. And typically in those emails, I will say, I love action takers. And because you're an action taker, you get, and I put whatever it is that they're going to get. Information about Facebook ads, a couple of the things that I really want to help with. Because I really get tired of people getting taken advantage of where they go out and they feel like I need a Facebook ads manager. So you go out, you only interview maybe one person or you get a recommendation and you go and you hire them and then they don't deliver. And for me, it's always important because I have been taken advantage of. not necessarily with Facebook ads, but in different areas where I thought they were doing something and then they were not, but I knew how, so I went back. So just make sure that this is me protecting you, and just, know the bare bones, know the basics about Facebook ads. And when we're talking about looking for whether it's promoted pins, whether you're going to do YouTube, Google, whatever it is you're going to do in terms of ads, probably the most popular is Facebook. And then I would say never discount Pinterest. I would do word of mouth. I would not go into a Facebook community of like 350,000 people and say, who is a good Facebook ad strategist? Because what's going to happen is you're going to get Tom, Dick, and Harry and all of their friends. And maybe out of all of that list of 40 people, you'll have just one, right? Do a network, ask in here, ask in your paid communities, ask, course creators, like, who is your go-to for a Facebook ad strategist? And then, like, how do you go about interviewing those people? So my recommendation is that you ask for case studies, like proof in the pudding, because guess what? They're going to get paid each month, regardless if they deliver or not. And they've got access to a whole bunch of stuff. And, we have to, number one, how up to date are they with Facebook guidelines? How many accounts have they gotten shut down doing Facebook ads? All of that's really important. And the other thing is, like, when you look at that case study, and they could just be showing you like cherry picking, how many people were on the email list? Did they publish content regularly? Were they already active, and did they have a large social following to begin with? Those are questions that really help to deconstruct that case study, so they're not giving you a lot of fluff. Because they could have a huge list. They could have been running ads for a long time. They could have the lookalike audiences, all the things. And that is probably why their ad spend was low, their cost per lead was low, and that is why they had this amazing launch. So I really think that it's important asking a lot of questions when it comes to a Facebook ads manager. Budgets can go to hire a Facebook ads manager anywhere from $1,000, which is really, really on the low end, all the way up to like $3,500, probably more than that. That's like above my pay grade. What I'm comfortable with. And then the same thing goes with promoted pins. Pinterest is slow as molasses. And because Pinterest is slow as molasses, it's not necessarily like your first go-to. I almost want you to think about, and this is a really good distinction, is that people come to Pinterest and they're using Pinterest SEO to search for a solution to their pain point. The results that pop up in Pinterest are related to those keywords. All right. So you're very targeted in who you're getting. Now, I completely understand the sophistication of Facebook and how targeted you can be with Facebook, but I really believe that Facebook for me is more of a retarget. It's like showing you like this. All right, you might like this. You like this, you might like this. All right, let me take you down this funnel and hopefully you'll opt in here. All right. So just some things to consider when you are starting to think about paid advertising. Okay. Graphics, there are a ton of graphics that you want to think about when you are doing social. Can you do it down and dirty? Can you do it quick and easy? Absolutely. Use Canva. Did I even give you, I didn't give a checklist here. Let me just really quickly, I'll add a checklist of tools. If you guys aren't familiar with Canva, I'm sure many of you are. Canva is a free graphics design tool, and another free resource is Unsplash. Unsplash is great free graphic resource. And just like I'm doing right now, like as you're publishing content in your course, if you have I want you to think about like how I'm doing this with you right now. You can do this for your course. And I love doing it this way because what's happening? I have an organized idea of what I want to teach and I'm presenting it to you. My board is prompting me on everything that I need to speak to, right? I was like, oh, I didn't add tools. Let me go ahead and add tools. I'm doing that live. And then I'm looking in here and I would be looking at any type of comments or feedback. And I love, like I did a masterclass, I did a 2-part masterclass this month in my paid community. And I love the ability to be able to do it live. When it was done, the video process, I loaded it into Kajabi. I had the Trello board there. I let them know the Trello board wouldn't be completed until the second session was completed. All I had to do was to do my little thing that I do with my Trello boards and post it in the description. Done. I didn't go back and edit. I didn't make it pretty. I didn't do, well, the board was pretty and they can go back. But I mean, that, and now that's a tool that will continue to live on and on and on. But we give you really an asset production, like things that you want to think about, places that you want to be when it comes to graphics. So we've got module 1 that we're going to create, and we have the outline. All right. And so what my recommendation here is create the welcome module, include publishing schedule, a debrief session feedback, complete modules based on a publishing schedule. So you need to be doing that. Follow up with live training sessions, and then follow up the launch. So, okay, let me just stop here and just kind of go over what I just did. And I gave you a little checklist here for the welcome module, like different things to include. Core offer is probably an outline. And whether you have it laid out in like a Google Sheet, maybe you have it laid out in Trello, Asana, whatever it is that you use, you have an outline of how you're going to produce that content or what type of content. If it's video, is it a workbook? Is it a fillable PDF? Is it slides? Like, how are you going to give them information? Trello templates. Like I had a course that I was selling, and it was all that was Trello. And it was just Trello boards and quick tutorials, really quick tutorials, like 2-minute tutorials. So you're ready to go. Now let's talk just a little bit, and I'm giving you a checklist here for the welcome module. Number 1, the welcome, setting expectations, right? So this is a beta. You've let them know that it's a beta. So in the welcome, and this is a video that you would, and I also want you to think about like in the future, like, make sure that you don't put a lot of timestamps like the fall of 2018, January 2019, because then you're going to date all of your content and you're going to constantly go back and you're going to be chasing your tail in terms of updating that content. If there are pieces that are really time sensitive within your spreadsheet, just put a check in there that like every quarter you need to go back and update that. Or at the end of the launch, this video is the video that you need to go back and update. All right. You want to have a master list of those. That way it's really easy for you to go back and make any changes. Okay. So you're just setting expectations in that welcome video. Again, this is one that you probably want to redo when you launch after the beta. A quick win activity, whatever that is. For me, it was time management rockstar. It's just a time audit, but I got a lot of comments and a lot of really quick wins. Invitation to the Facebook community, a dashboard tour, let them know where everything is, a way to contact support, and schedule a welcome session in the community. I'll go over why you want to do that in just a second. And then the welcome email that details all the important information that they need to know. You want to make sure that you have that. Okay. So one of the things you're selling, we have to put a close date on. And when you're doing a beta, unless you have everything already built out, and I know maybe some of you have, so you're doing a beta, if you're launching and like cart opens on Thursday and say it closes the next Thursday, have a date that everybody like gets together and everybody's on the same page. Module 1 is really designed to give them some activities to kind of bring them into your fold, bring them into the community. They're excited. This helps prevent that, oh, here's my money. Oh, buyer's remorse. This is, here's my money. Oh my gosh, I just had a quick win. I love this. Let me get into this community. My name is Rhonda and I am really excited to be here. Okay. So that's why the module 1 does need to be done. It does need to be completed. But then after that is you're on your own schedule to produce the content. That's what I was talking about here. You need to schedule that time. And I've given you a schedule where they would get an email on Sunday, content would drop on Monday, a follow-up feedback session would be on Thursday. All right. And that's what it went for me. Guys, I really believe that you could get it done in 6 modules. Don't do any more than 8. It's just like after that, you know, as as people come in, they're going to be like really excited and they're going to be really involved. And you may hit a plateau point, and then you may see a drop off on your course. You don't want to see that drop off. And I will tell you too, make sure beta, you're up front. I'm publishing each month or each week. I had someone who came into my beta. She stressed me out because I did the wrong thing. I shared everything, not all of the files, but I let them know like what was coming. And so I had pressure on myself to build out the content, but I felt like she was breathing down my neck the whole time, because she was like one of those like hit and run, like she'll come in, get what she needs and goes. And I felt like I wasn't meeting her expectations because I wasn't developing the content fast enough, even though I was up front with her at the very beginning and let her know how I was going to do things. Okay. And of course, the biggest pitfall to avoid is like, and you're not going to do this because you're an offer lab and you're building out your core offer. The biggest pitfall to avoid is building out the entire program in a vacuum and then launching to no one because you don't have a list. All right. Ads, when you've used them, I think personally, it's a combination of both organic. That's why you're supposed to be publishing your face off, as well as paid traffic. The biggest thing, it's not necessarily social is important. It is emails are important. That is the cornerstone of your business. And emails are another way each and every week, publishing that content and getting them into your world. You publish the content, but then you're also doing ads that also like point back to your content as well. Ads are not, I think the old traditional way of ads used to be that we would like not do ads. And then right before a launch or during a campaign, you would like ads, then nothing. Ads, then nothing, right? So it's a combination of both organic as well as paid traffic. Obviously, as you start to build your email list, this is a tool that can be used in Facebook ads. You can load your list. You can create a lookalike list. You can load this in Pinterest. You are marketing to your list. You can market to a lookalike. These are people that are like your email list and are more likely than just someone that's fresh out there that doesn't know. And then two, when using promoted pins, I recommend a longer run way of planning, meaning that it just takes longer. I mean, Facebook ads are what, like 48 hours and could be longer than that, but it's promoted pins are like 7 days. You're like, oh my God, 7 days? Are you kidding me? Yeah, it's like doing it and sitting on your hands. I mean, they work. I mean, I can't remember. I think it was like I spent 37 or 39 cents and sold like a $47 product. They work, but it's like slow as molasses. All right. So let's see. Tools and resources for product production. No more than 6 modules. We talked about the success path. That's in here as well. The best format I found to deliver content is an email overview of the weekly, deliver the content, and schedule the follow-up session, rinse and repeat. This pressure cooker, this 4 steps, that was the best feedback that I received. And I'm sure those people who have already launched have had that same experience here. Once you've completed the course, it's critical to get that feedback, and we'll get into that. I've shared with you even before now, really, those people are on the wait list that didn't buy, those people that did buy, feedback. You can use Google Doc, you can use Typeform. When people if you've got a membership and they choose to like get out of your membership, like send them a feedback form. Are they going to fill it out? I don't know, but send it to them and say, what was wrong? Why did you leave? Did this particular product not meet your expectations? How could I improve it? I mean, constantly get feedback from your community. Okay. So now some of this is going to be, okay, that's another, okay, the tools. So Trello, I recommend using Trello. Let me just go back. Pick a tool, learn a tool, you're not missing out. So if you pick Trello, don't be looking over in Asana's backyard to see if they're better. Okay, pick one and go with it. So Trello, guys are using ClickFunnels. I recommend Funnel Gorgeous. I use ConvertKit as my email service provider. I really like ConvertKit. It's very easy to use, very easy to tag, to resend, all of the good things. It's very easy to use and definitely integrates. Most integrate with ClickFunnels anyway. As far as this topic has gone around this community, I use ScreenFlow for recording and editing any videos. You can also use, one of the things that I highly recommend that you do before you open your cart is that you go through your cart. Like, the reason why I go through my carts is because, number one, I want to see what my people see. So if we get a tech question, then we understand like where they are in the process and can have a canned response and help them out. All right. The second thing is that I want to make sure that the emails are triggering properly, and that when I get an email and I click on a link, that link actually works. So you can create coupon codes. You can go in test mode in Stripe to practice going through a cart. But I would never open a cart and like not understand like how the money is being processed. Okay. If you use Teachable, they've changed the way that they've done their payment gateway. And it used to be that they would hold on to your money. I don't think they do this anymore, but you will need to confirm this. They would hold on to your money for 30 days. So if you are launching and you need that cash, just confirm that when it comes to Teachable. Okay. All right. Managing support. So really important part that I don't think we talk about is to think ahead on what type of support questions that you may encounter. Payment issues, did not receive the email confirmation, cannot access the content. If you have time before, it's very easy for you to create canned responses for this, and just put your email signature on it and send it off. So these are really the three top most common. Payment won't process, and you need to figure out like what to say to them. Is it they need to refresh their cache? If you're getting sales, that's probably what the issue is. Did not receive email confirmation. You just need to make sure you're using Zap and something's wrong with Zapier and cannot access the content. So just make sure that you've got some canned responses ready to go. This is going to save you on the back end. Okay. What happens when tech issues happen? So just know that something is going to happen. Something's going to fail. You're going to do a webinar. They're not going to be able to hear you. Or ladies, if you do webinars and you use the headset, don't have jewelry or collars, because that microphone will bang up against any type of pretty jewelry that you try to make, attractive during the webinar. And then when you go back and listen to the replay, like that's, you move or whatever, and that's all you hear. How do I know that? Happened to me. All right. So don't do that. But here's the thing. Understand like where all the tech documents are for whatever software you're using. Make yourself comfortable with hopping on tech support. Like, is it email? Is it a chat? If it's a chat, how good is the chat? Kajabi chat to me is not very good. I have not had, I have been on queue like 22 people ahead of me. 22 people ahead of me. And email could take, 12, 24 hours, depending on the time. And Kajabi doesn't offer phone support. You get one phone call. You get the one phone call, and that's it. And so don't waste it. If you get into Kajabi, like at least get yourself set up in Kajabi before you use that one call, because you're going to waste it if you don't. That didn't happen to me. I was in the thick of it, and then got on the call. Okay. But here's also the thing is that when tech happens, I think that it's better, this is my opinion, to say, hey, we're having some problems with making sure you're getting the email confirmation. Just know that my team and I are working on it, and just be open that there is a tech issue. There are some things that would happen or go on that I would never like go out and do a blanket email, or I'd never go out and do a blanket something, right? And then that just like raises hairs on everybody. But depending on the situation, if you're in the community, if you're in the private Facebook community with your people, just say, we understand that there's a situation going on, and just know that we're on with Kajabi support right now. As soon as we hear something, we'll get back to you. Okay. So this is going to come up. So just be prepared for it. All right. What to do when sales don't roll in. We kind of talked about this at the very beginning. Don't get discouraged. Dig in. This is your opportunity to rise to the occasion. You know, should you go live in a community? Should you show a dashboard tour? Even reach out one-on-one. The owner of your business is the biggest fan. Like, nobody else cares about your thing more than you care about your thing. Flexibility is key when launching, okay? So I wanted to go over that. And then Call My Baby Ugly. So again, this is one of the most important parts. It's like, you've got the beginning, we get the people in, now we're on a rhythm, we're doing the thing. Now we're at the end. So what do? We have talked about this here in the community, really 2 sets of questions, but this debrief, you know, I didn't do it as much in the beginning with my offline event, but I probably have 10 years worth of numbers. I've done it 17 years. I'm sure I could find, but who wants to find? At least the past 5 years are in my binder, and I can very quickly go. I know I do it kind of antiquated when it comes to that event, but I go back and I know when I open registration, we'll get 300 people that pay in less than 24 hours. I know that as we get closer to date, this is the number of items that we should be tracking on. This is the number of people who are registered. And then I look at all my pre-sales where my numbers are. Your numbers define your next step. You don't have numbers, you're going off in the dark on your beta launch. But moving forward, you record this, like how many people attended a webinar? Out of those, how many who purchased? Out of those, who paid in full? How many were on payment plans? Because you had that question in your mind, should I do a payment plan? And if so, how long, how much? Number of people who purchased during the fast action bonus. Number of people who purchased the last day. What was the total amount of sales? Know your numbers here so you can actually compare them when you do your next set of numbers. So it's going to be like internal debrief, like all of your numbers. That's black and white. And that's a beautiful thing. It gives you your roadmap. You want to ask people questions who didn't buy. Why didn't you? There are 2 questions. I give them to you. And then the second thing is that after you are all said and done, you've been asking and Call My Baby Ugly the whole way through. At the very end, hey guys, help me make this like the best. What are your final? And I've given you the questions for you to ask your peeps, because they're going to be honest with you. They're going to feel like they're a part of the process. And when you make those changes, celebrate those changes. Let them know, oh my gosh, this was the thing. Are you kidding me? I love it. Thank you so much for your feedback. People love to be included. And when you do a feedback session and then you don't implement, it's like, well, she doesn't care about me. It's kind of like when you're at Walmart and you decide you're not going to shop at Walmart anymore. It's like Walmart doesn't care. You don't want that feeling, right? Your debrief is really, really important. Okay. That's it. That was it. Product launch. Oh, and while we're doing all of that, you're publishing content on a weekly basis. You're building your email list, and you potentially could be publishing content in a private Facebook group, and you're publishing on social. So it's a lot to do, I know. But I wanted to give you my product launch recipe, and I wanted you to see what it looks like spelled out, step by step by step. So if maybe you are thinking more about the front end, maybe some of the information in the back end, like FAQs, having those canned responses ready to go, that's going to help save you time. Because here's the thing, you also have to understand like what your mindset is going through a launch. What am I doing all wrong? And even like you're getting sales and then it like levels off. You're like, wait, what happened? Setting yourself up and having some of these things in place on the front end are going to help when you're not thinking clearly during a launch. When you're moving through a launch, you're tired, make sure that you're planning like proper food, proper hydration, exercise, because you'll lose your mind. And then, you know, the interesting thing is that I will say, and I'm going to check questions here in just a second, was that, you know, I've done my event for 17 years, 34 launches. I will tell you, it's, you know, most of it happens online until we actually get to set up. And then it's like 7 days, Sunday to Sunday. It is 80,000 square feet. So it is as large as your local Target. That's what I say. Think of your local Target and Black Friday, then you have my event. it is so physical, like it's not a mental game at that point when you're actually running the event. There are stages, there are checklists, there are things that we do. And seconds, to me, that's how I got my experience with setting up systems, because seconds matter. Like if I could shave X amount of time off, like when we're doing breakdown and I'm like, all right, we got 6 hours. If it's not done in 6 hours, we're going to be in trouble. And I've experienced what trouble feels like, right? So we need X amount of people because we have X amount of stuff left. Your numbers tell you everything. But as you're moving through a launch, you're crazy pants. And so because I know that's going to happen, the feeling that I had and what I was trying to get to before I went down a rabbit trail was the feeling that I had doing an offline event. I thought launching an online digital product would be easier because I was so physically and mentally drained after that event. It would really take me, like I would come home. I never relaxed through the whole thing. So I was always like this the whole time. I would come home and it was almost like I would wake up with a hangover. I was so drained. I had been away from my house. My event's 2 hours away. I know this crazy town, 2 hours away. I'd been away from my family for a week, but life continued to happen. That's why I kept inserting things like nobody cares about your business more than you. Make sure that you do these things. This is what to look for. So mentally to prepare yourself, like make sure you got food, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you exercise. I went through a very stressful launch this summer. Every single day I was on that Peloton. That was my like outlet. And we all need the white space. So really, really encourage you that you build that in. You're like, that's not going to be important, Rhonda. It will be important. And the more that you launch, the more important it's going to be to you. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Click the link. It's the first link. We make it super simple for any of the tools and resources that we talked about in today's video, helping you make it easy for your freedom to impact.